very special. He does a lot of work. He's very hardworking. He's from, is it Covington or Mandeville? John?
Mandeville.
He's from Mandeville, so he drove in today from the North Shore. One of my favorite guys. You're gonna love him. Give it up for Josh Watts.
No, you gotta keep clapping. How we doing in the tunnel?
Great.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never been more uncomfortable in my entire life. If a bear ran down those stairs right now, I'm not 100% sure I'm battle ready. If you can't tell about the mohawk, I don't wear suits often. This is a rare night for me. I feel very pretty though, so it's nice. I'm not from Mandeville or Covington. I just say that so people let me in places. I'm actually from Livingston Parish. I know you smelled it on me when I walked in here. Sorry. I'm from a little town in Livingston Parish called Denham Springs, Louisiana. Yeah, you can Google it after the show if you've never heard of it. It's spelled just like it sounds, DENKKKHAM Springs. I told that joke in the City Hall / Bass Pro, and a guy yelled at me from the back of the room with his entire heart, "That's not how you spell it!" But he had a pillowcase on his head he had cut eye holes into, so I don't trust him at all. I'm a stay-at-home father. I have 2 small children. Thank you. They're not here. You don't have to clap for them. I'll tell them you did either way. We're so happy to hear about you. If you're wondering why I'm a stay-at-home father, I'm a 45-year-old man with a mohawk and a Superman collection. And my wife has 2 master's degrees. So it didn't take us long to have that discussion at all. I'm the one who stays home and keeps the children alive. So far, I'm nailing it. So I'm doing great so far. They're still here. I remember when my daughter was born, I'm gonna sound cheesy, it was the best day of my life. I wanted to be a dad my whole life, and I always wanted a little girl, and I was really excited, and I got to stay home with her, and I got to spend every day with her. And one day I was taking her outside, and she was sitting on my arm, and I had my titties out, because that's how I relax when I go outside. Everybody said how old they were, and I feel like I need to say, I am 19 years old, since it's a rough 19 from Livingston Parish. I get it. My birthday was yesterday. I'm not even supposed to be in here, actually. I was taking my daughter outside, and she's on my arm, and I got my titties out, and I'm just talking to her, and she's looking up at me with the face of an 18-month-old baby that's known nothing but love, safety, and reassurance. And I'm just giving her that in my eyes, and she's looking back at me, and it's the best moment of my life. Then I look in the sky, and I see the biggest hornet that I've ever seen in my entire life. It looked like a raccoon in the air. It was terrifying. And if you've ever Wikipedia'd hornets, their 2 favorite things to sting, babies and nipples. Every time, I'm in double danger now. Uh-oh, I got a baby by a nipple. This is like a gold mine for this hornet. I looked up the sky and he was sharpening his finger with a file. I've never even seen that before. And I was like, oh God, I gotta keep this baby safe. But I'm not a smart man. I know this is gonna shock you. And I was like, what do I do? And then the dad gene that everybody has as soon as a baby's born is kicked in. And I knew, without even thinking about it, how to keep that baby safe. And this is what I did. Ah! Like a frisbee. The only thing I've ever admitted to loving, not named Hulk Hogan, and I tossed like a frisbee at the possibility of being stung in the titty by a hornet. Worst part, it was a ladybug. It was a big ladybug, right? It was real big. It looked mean, but that's just how they look. I Googled them. They don't care about nipples at all. And I was like, well, I feel dumb. My baby skipped across my driveway like a rock. Now she's fine. She's graduating from the DeVry School of Cosmetology next week. To keep up with these small children, I did have to lose weight. I didn't kill anybody like Brandon. I got on testosterone also. I got a big old shot of man juice in my butt once a week. Everybody I know has told me don't say it like that. I love to say it like that. It makes everybody uncomfortable. It makes me feel good. And I started working out because children are fast. Now I got to keep up with them to keep them alive. That's part of the rules. That's one of the things the nurse tells you is that you got to keep up with these kids and you got to keep them alive. So I was 305 pounds. Yeah, thanks. And about a year, it's been about a year and a half now, and I have lost 220 pounds. So 80, I'm not doing math. I lost about 80 pounds. Thank you. And the way I've done that was I dropped my kids off at school. St. Tammany Parish requires them to be at school for a lot of hours in the day. I didn't check how many is enough. I take them there, and I go home, and I take my titties out. That's how I relax. And I put on shorts, probably too short for a man my age, but I feel good in them. And I put on some terrible yacht rock in my ears, and I walk around my neighborhood. And at every corner, I do about 10 burpees. When I started, it was 1. And then by the time I got 10 steps, 8,000 to 10,000 steps is a daily recommended step count for weight loss. But what they don't tell you is those steps count even if you're high. So I also pack a joint with me when I go on this walk. Now, I'm an adult man who minds my own business. So, I don't want you, I look really good in the suit and I'm blocking your view. I'm sorry, I don't want you to miss this. I got lost. So I've been going around the neighborhood, but I'm an adult man. I've never once cared about what anybody else is doing, so I never thought anybody paid any attention to me at all. Turns out, I live in a neighborhood, a subdivision. And every subdivision in the world has a subdivision neighborhood Facebook group. It's the worst place on earth. We have a lady in our neighborhood group that's been mad for 8 years that people have different color mailboxes. Like it eats at her brain and she talks about it every day. Sometimes I just go in there and go, I saw a green mailbox, and then she just comments 40 times on how much she hates it, and I love it. If it's quiet in there, I'll go in there and just write something. Like the other day I said, hey, that kid on Jack Drive on the tricycle better watch his ass, I'll carry. They got 7 heart reacts and 3 shares. Who did you share that? We don't even have a Jack Drive in our neighborhood. What are you doing? Anyway. I met my wife in 1995. So that means we officially have nothing left to talk about at all. The only way we communicate is screenshots from our neighborhood face group, and we're like, look at how much smarter we are than these people. We're so much better, we're the best neighbors in this. I got done with my walk one day, and I took my phone out and I had a text from my wife, and I'll never forget the quote. It said, new to the hood, which I didn't like right out of the gate that you call the neighborhood a hood. That's cop talk. I know cops when I hear them, that's a cop. It said, new to the hood, just curious. Could someone please explain the shirtless mohawked man doing push-ups in my front yard right now? I also don't believe that's a cigarette he's smoking. Again, not trying to start trouble, just curious. Thanks in advance. And I waited a while, then I texted my wife back and said, are you sure they're talking about me? She was sure. The worst part, though, besides finding out that my privacy had been violated and people were watching what I was doing, was that there was only one comment underneath the post. Do you know what that comment said? Harmless. That I'm 45 with a mohawk. Harmful. That's the whole point of it. I'm harmful. Why would you say that? I cried. I made a sweater and cried. She said, please don't get in the neighborhood Facebook group again. And I said, no problem, knowing that was never going to happen. A couple days later, I'm in Carline, and that's an elementary school. Carline is the second worst place on earth. I've watched so many moms get out and then never actually fight. It's so disappointing. They get out with these big, heavy Stanley cups and yell at each other. Nobody ever hits anybody. I yell, I fight, do it! Never, not one time. I'm in the Carline, it's got terrible signal. And I get a text from my wife, and it says, is this you? And then, like when you had dial-up internet, the picture started loading up. And I was like, I know it's me, but I know it's bad. And I will tell you, I still, every single thing I do in life is designed to impress my wife in some way, somehow. I want her to see every push-up I do. The short shorts I wear, that's for her. I drop my wallet every time she's around. Oh, look at that. So this text came through and it said, I just watched this guy do push-ups until he puked in the street. Then he smoked a joint and did more. Now, that was me. It's definitely me. And then the picture's coming in, it's going slow. I'm like, okay, this will be saved if she sees me doing clip push-ups with my titties glistening in the sun in those short shorts. You kidding me? She'll have another baby right there as soon as she sees it. And the picture started loading up, and instead of me doing the push-ups, it was me on the other side of the ditch. And, never had a tie on it. I haven't worn a suit in 20 years. This is the craziest. So we moved to Mandeville after Baton Rouge flooded in 2016. They never rebuilt it. It's still a hole in the ground. They call it Tiger Stadium. My wife, I'm in Baton Rouge. Oh, I tell that joke over and everybody laughs. I looked at y'all and I was like, oh wait, we're in Baton Rouge. Sorry guys. We lost everything in the flood in 2016. We washed all the way down to the North Shore. And my wife still works at the hospital here. So one day, I take my kids to school, and it's a rest day. So when I get home, the VA has done this beautiful thing in Louisiana where they give you a medicinal marijuana card now, which means a doctor gives you marijuana, and you can have it. And you can just have it. It's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I got a whole bunch of gummies. Drop my kids off at school, St. Tammany Parish requires them to be there. And then I went home and I put as many gummies into my face as I could. I played Chubby Bunny. I was just putting all of them in my face. And I took my titties out and I was going to watch Law and Order. It's going to be the best Friday ever. I turned on the TV and instead of Law and Order, there's a severe weather alert. Yeah. Schools are closing, roads are closing. Uh-oh. And remember those edible marijuanas? They were prescribed by a doctor. Maybe he was a priest because they're doing the Lord's work right now. This is not good. My wife texts me and it says, you have to get the kids. Now, I've known my wife since 1995. I know by reading this text that she's no longer breathing. She held her breath the second she saw it. And to make my wife feel better, instead of texting anything back, I just confidently nodded at my phone and said, you got to get the kids. Now, and then I got in the car and I drove to the school. No, hold on. And I was like, look, if you drive 15 miles under the speed limit, nobody's going to know you're high. And it worked until I got to the school zone and the speed limit was 15 and I was just sitting still. There was questions. But I get both kids safe and home alive, 2 whole pieces. I used to say 1 piece and a lady in Biloxi nearly died. Both children were alive. I brought them home alive. And I texted my wife, kids are home, smiley face, and then I sent this emoji. I've never used emoji in my entire life. I am actually a 45-year-old man. Apple should have been like, your beard is great, just use your words. Why are you, what's wrong? But nope, kids are home, smiley face, and then this popped up. And I turned my phone off and I set it on the table because I'm going to connect with these kids. We're going to watch South Park until Mama was bluey. We're going to throw our homework away and pretend we did it because it's optional, it doesn't count. About 3.5 hours after bedtime, I get them in bed. That's dad bedtime. I'm nailing it. They're asleep. I go to get my phone. It's no longer on the table where I left it. I start looking around the room, and it's all the way across the room. Probably not good. I go and pick my phone up. I had missed 66 phone calls and 45 text messages. Because my wife, here in Baton Rouge, afraid her children have been washed away in a storm in the North Shore, texted me, you have to get your kids. And I responded, kids are home, smiley face, and this. But my phone auto-corrected to kids are gone, smiley face. And then 3 hours of radio silence. Woo! She beat me real bad. And I called the cops and they're like, no, it was right. You deserved it. That was on you. You did that. They took their side. I couldn't believe it. Whenever my wife first had our first child, I'm retired from the Air Force and I do stand-up. But I thought I should get a job, make some extra cash. So I went and got a job at a little mom and pop shop. You probably haven't heard of it. It's called Target. I had the kind of job, if I was 17, you'd be like, look at him out there hustling. That's a good kid. He's out there trying to make some money. If I was 25, you'd be like, uh-oh. Somebody should pay more attention to school, huh? I was 35. Everybody just assumed I had some serious head injury and had overcome it to get there. They would applaud for me when I got there. They'd be like, he drove himself, and they'd just start clapping. Way to go, champ! You made it! Your shoes match. They don't match. You'll get them next time, Tyler. Don't worry about it. Do you know how good that feels to get hyped up like that at work? Oh. Because the job I had to stock cheese in a cooler. And at Target, they do that at 2 a.m., obviously. So, when you're 35 years old, and you're working for $9 an hour at 2 a.m. putting cheese in a cooler, there is marijuana involved. A lot of it. And to get back at the big corporation, I ate every cheese I touched. if I couldn't guess where it was from because of the flag on the case, I ate it. If it was more than I made an hour, I ate 2 of them. Some of them I just put in my pocket and take home and feed the cats. Didn't care. This went on for a couple of weeks. I was living high on the cheese horse. I was cheese fat. I was so rich. And then one day my boss, a 19-year-old man named Mr. Blaine. That's the other thing when you get out of the military. You got a 19-year-old boss named Mr. Blaine. He came in and said, I need to see you in my office. I said, okay. Try to say no, but you can't do that. He told me I had to. All right. And when I walked into his office, he had Ross in the office with him. Now, Ross is the loss prevention manager. The loss prevention manager is the guy in the polo shirt that watches people steal. They can't do anything. I did loss prevention at Best Buy, and I showed him a video of me using a taser, and they still wouldn't let me bring it. You're not serious. So Ross is in the room, and he's got his arms crossed. Now, I know intimidation when I see it. They're trying to scare me. And I go to sit down, and Ross won't move, so my head is directly, the back of my head is directly in his crotch. And I don't know why he's trying to intimidate me. I watched his mom drop him off like an hour ago. I saw how long it took for you to get out of the back of a minivan, Ross. I'm not at all scared right now. But then Mr. Blaine said, is there anything you want to tell me? And look, there's 1,000 things I wanted to say to him. Why is your truck like this? How do you go over training? And I said, no. And then he said, are you sure? Now, you remember the titties out in Law and Order? I know enough to know if he says, are you sure? He's got some evidence. But I stepped to it, I said, I don't know nothing. It felt like the right thing to say. And then he spun his computer screen around. And I found out that the cooler has cameras. Because he had a 12-minute video of me eating cheese in the cooler. He set it to that Harry Styles song, Watermelon Sugar. It played 3 times. I have no idea why. It made it weird, honestly. And the cameras were in the corners. The corners where I went to hide to eat the cheese. So I'm walking right into the camera. 3 inches away from a high-def TV. When he showed me the video, I let all 12 minutes of it play, and I said, are you sure that's me? Now, he said there's 1 of 2 ways this can go, which tells you right there he's 19 years old, because I've already thought of 47. None of them are good, but there's options. He said you can either pay for the cheese you ate, which felt like fighting words, because you know you paid me $9 an hour. I specifically ate cheese I can't afford. You know this. And he said, or I could fire you. And this is when I kicked my plan into action. What I'm going to do is slam my big muscular forearms down on his desk and stand up and say, you can't fire me! Fuck you! It's not creative, but it would have felt really good at the time. But when I slam my arms down and stand up, he has one of those folding tables, and it has a lip on it. When I stand up, my knees catch the table, and I bring the entire table up with me. His computer, the lunch his mom made him, all of it. Takes me out, I fall over on the floor. I tried to pull Ross down with me, but he had good balance. I couldn't get him. Well, sooner grabbed him, I guess. And I am on the floor with this desk and all the food on top of me. And I am being fired for cheese larceny. And I have a baby at home and a wife I have to tell, hey, I got fired for my $9 an hour job for cheese larceny. My option of getting out of this, I'm going to play dead. And that's what I did. I just laid on the floor and closed my eyes. You get an ambulance in here to get me out of here. And they did. They brought a stretcher in. The worst part is, when the manager hired me, I told him, I said, I have PTSD from my service. I can't be in front of people. Because I didn't want people to know that I worked at Target because it's right by my house. But the manager said, aren't you a stand-up comedian? And I was like, I'm not good. I'm not good. So I didn't want to be seen at this Target. But now I'm being rolled out on a stretcher, dead from a cheese overdose, for being fired for cheese larceny. And he's rolling me out, and the EMT, he was good at his job. He earned that degree. Because he said, I know there's nothing wrong with you. And I said, look, man, I'm in real deep. I have a lot of cheese in my cargo pockets. If you get me out of here, it could be our cheese. He let me wait in the ambulance for 5 minutes. And then he had to go. And I left my Crocs in the ambulance. So I didn't think I was going to have to walk across the parking lot back to my car. Now, all my coworkers didn't know I got fired for cheese larceny. They saw me rolled out dead on a stretcher. And now I'm walking across the parking lot. So they started cheering, oh, way to go, Chad! They can't kill you! You got this! Then I went home and told my wife I got fired for cheese larceny from Target. Took a while before she went to have another baby. If you can believe that, that's crazy. You heard how many push-ups I did? Anyway. So, I also have a son. And Is anybody potty trained a child in here? Yeah. Doesn't even have to be yours, just any child, right? Yeah, that's God's way of seeing if you were serious about that little miracle you were praying for. And my son, if they ranked him, he would have been a top-ranked pooper in the nation, probably. He ran out of pull-ups. I had to take him to Walmart to get some more pull-ups. And he said, can I pick them out? And I said, you sure can. He ran down the aisle. One, I wanted to make his own choices. And two, it's a Walmart. He'll get there and back before I waddle my fat ass in there, so go for it, buddy. He comes back to me and he's got a pair of My Little Pony pull-ups. And he says, can I get these? Yes, you can. And I'll tell you, he loves My Little Pony. And I'll tell you why. He's got a big sister who loves My Little Pony. We've read every My Little Pony book. We watched every My Little Pony movie. There's a country band on iTunes that has thousands of hours of songs. That is the My Little Ponies, and we've listened to all of it. Think about it. You're at a red light with your family that you want to keep safe from the dangers of the world, and a dude who looks like me pulls up in a Subaru Outback with windows down, blaring My Little Pony as loud as it can. Your phone will send an Amber Alert. Siri will tell you, get out of there, go, go. So he gets these pull-ups, and I'm like, all right, let's go. We go to check out. He throws them on the register, and I see the lady look at the pull-ups. And then she looks at my son, and then she looks at the pull-ups again, and now she's confused. And I know for a fact she's about to ruin my entire life. It's a numbers game. Every time you go to Walmart, an employee's going to ruin your life, and it's my turn. We got down to the end, and she said, are these for you, baby? Now, we've raised him very bougie on the North Shore, so he didn't like the Walmart lady talking to him. He went, she said, are these for you? And he goes, those are for me because I'm a big boy. You right. I was so proud of him. And then that demon lady looked him right in his face and said, oh, baby, those are just for little girls. Now, he instantly turned into a snot fountain. And I have never been more angry. I'm from Denham Springs. You can shame me in front of my son. I have to suplex you until you're dead. We voted on it. That's the laws. I'm furious. And he's crying. And it's in this moment where my dad gene kicked in one more time, and I realized that it's probably better to make my son feel better about his underwear choices than to make a Walmart employee have a worse Tuesday afternoon. So I turned to my son and I said, buddy, those aren't for girls. Those are for anybody who likes My Little Pony. Instantly, he was fine. Okay, I like My Little Pony. Yeah, you do. He loves My Little Pony. And if he starts finding, look, this suit is skinny suit, but it's just because I want you to see my lips. That's all that was. I'm not as liberal as you thought I am, but my son has never heard that anything is made just for little girls. Because everything he's ever put on his body is a hand-me-down. He finds out stuff is made for little girls, Daddy's going to have to explain the sleeveless Elsa dress he's wearing right now. That I told him was designed to show off his Dino Nugget biceps. So he's fine, and we're getting ready to leave. And Brandon, I'm sorry, I know I'm going long. Let me finish this one. We're getting ready to leave, and I realize, most conflict comes from misunderstanding and not malice. Nobody's trying to ruin your day 90% of the time. It just happens. And a little understanding and empathy goes a long way, and nobody wants to do that anymore. So at this moment, instead of being aggressive, I thought, I should help her. She didn't know what she did. She could have ruined somebody else's day if I don't say something. What would Jesus do? I know. I would let him in my heart twice, once on purpose. I know what he would do. He would tell her so that she didn't put this evil on anybody else. But I also know what I look like. And I don't look like I'm there to talk about Jesus. So I put on my nicest church face that exists. You wouldn't sit your family on a pew next to me, but if y'all were all already situated, you would move everybody just because I sat down. I'm good with that. And we got ready to leave, and I leaned over, and I'm going to use my church voice. And I leaned over, and I said, it's not like it matters, he's just going to shit in them anyway! All right, so that wasn't the intended message. But man, it felt good. Woo, it felt good. I nailed this. My son's happy. I yelled at the Walmart lady, this is the best day of my life. I can't wait to tell my wife how good I did. When I tell her, she's already going to be 7 months pregnant with the next baby. This is the pair school system. I know that. We get home, and I leave my son in the car seat on purpose. And I go inside, she says, how'd it go? And I'm already undoing my Velcro belt because it went great. And before I can say anything, my son, who I left in the car, fully dressed, runs in the room wearing only a pair of My Little Pony pull-ups and says, I bought girl underwear, but it's okay because I'm just going to shit in them anyway. That's what Daddy told the lady. And then he just went upstairs and lived his life. And I got skinny jeans now around my skanky ankles for absolutely nothing. I'm glad he learned a lesson. I know what I said though. You don't have to quote me directly. All right, my name is Joshua. Thank y'all so very much. Please get up to your hostess for the
Stay up here. Y'all, one more time for these amazing comedians. Keep yourselves around the hall if you're afraid of it. Thank you so much for coming. Be safe and very good.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.
We're good.
I should have.
Yeah, the lake show.
That's what I was doing.
So, it was like, I want to say that it's like 9:30 or something. I figured y'all want to be out there. I don't like driving the dog.
Hey, thanks for playing home, buddy. I knew you wouldn't have to have a target, though, man. Good job. Thank you.
Yes.
bought tickets then. I bought 2 tickets, one for me and one for my daughter. And she behaved. I'm like, I'm cool. She brought her with your mom. Like, I let her do it. That's all like, you know. But I told her, I said, we're gonna have to learn. Like, she knows Chris Brown, but I'm like, you know, Usher, I need you. Because you can't be not knowing the words. So you can say, yeah. Like, she didn't want to go to Brandy. I'm like, you want Brandy?